Why you say sorry for things that aren't your fault. I'm sorry. Those might be the two words you've said most in your life. Saying them has kept you safe. Let's talk about that. You apologize when the waiter brings the wrong order. You apologize for having an opinion. You apologize in the middle of being hurt by someone else. You feel the tension rising and you move to dissolve it, even though you're the one who got hurt. And most of the time, you probably don't even catch yourself doing it. It's become as automatic as breathing. There's a particular kind of dissonance in that. Some part of you knows you didn't do anything wrong, but the impulse to apologize is already out of your mouth before your rational mind even gets a vote, faster than thought. And that's not a character flaw, it's information. It's a survival mechanism that got installed early and it's still running. Let's go back. Not to one specific catastrophic moment necessarily, but to the general shape of your early world. Maybe you grew up in a house where the emotional weather was unpredictable. Not necessarily dramatic, Fawn, but unstable. One moment fine, the next someone was upset, and you became very good at reading the room before anyone said a word. You learned something important. If you moved fast enough, you could sometimes prevent the storm. If you took responsibility, if you apologized before anyone accused you, if you made yourself small and easy to be around, things didn't escalate. Or maybe one of your caregivers was overwhelmed, depleted, dealing with their own pain, and you learned in some wordless way that your job was to not add to that, to be the easy one, to sense what they needed before being asked. Apologizing became a way of saying, I see you're struggling and I'm not going to make this harder. I'm sorry for having needs in this space. Or conflict in your family wasn't resolved. It was just endured. People didn't talk about what was wrong. They withdrew, got cold, withheld affection until someone apologized and broke the silence. And you learned that an apology was the only thing that could buy back connection. The person who apologized first was the one who loved more, so you got very good at it. You became the peacemaker. You'd absorb blame like a sponge just to get back to okay. Or maybe it was quieter than any of that. Maybe there was just someone, a parent, a sibling, someone whose opinion mattered enormously, who was hypercritical, who noticed every small mistake with precision, who made it clear that you were never quite enough. And you responded by trying to disappear into perfect behavior by apologizing for things before anyone could point them out. Different stories, but the same shape underneath. You learned that your safety, emotional, relational, sometimes even physical, depended on your ability to manage other people's feelings. You learned that you were responsible for the emotional climate around you, and apologizing was one of the most powerful tools you had to maintain it. This wasn't irrational. In that environment, at that age, this strategy probably worked. It probably did keep you safer. It probably did preserve relationships that mattered to you. You were being adaptive. You were solving a real problem with what you had. But when that adaptation keeps running into adulthood, it stops protecting you. Instead, it erodes you. What's happening underneath all of this has a name: the fawn response. You've probably heard of fight, flight, or freeze, the classic ways a nervous system responds to threat. The fawn response is the fourth one. Fawning means appeasing. When your system detects danger, instead of fighting back or running or going numb, it reaches for compliance, agreement, apology, anything that signals to the other person, I'm not a threat. Please don't hurt me. And in people who grew up in unpredictable or emotionally controlling environments, fawning becomes the default. The first thing the nervous system reaches for. Because it worked. Your body learned that apologizing, complying, keeping others comfortable, that was how you got through. The problem is that this response was calibrated for a specific environment, one that actually was unsafe. But your nervous system doesn't automatically update when you leave that place. It keeps running the same program. So now in relationships and situations that genuinely don't require this level of deference, you're still apologizing, still scanning for danger that isn't there. still managing other people's emotions as though something will break if you don't. And over time, that does something to you. When you're always apologizing for things you didn't do wrong, you're training yourself, genuinely neurologically training yourself, to treat your own perspective as less valid than everyone else's. You start to assume that when something goes wrong, it's probably your fault. You live in a low hum of guilt, even when you've done nothing to feel guilty about. There's something else happening too, something worth sitting with for a second. Over-apologizing actually enables a dynamic that hurts everyone involved. When you absorb responsibility for things that aren't yours, you prevent real accountability from landing where it belongs. You obscure the actual problem. And you signal to the people around you that you're someone who will take the blame, which eventually draws in people who are looking for exactly that. So here's what matters to understand before we go any further. That fawn response wasn't weakness. It was your nervous system being intelligent under pressure. It kept you connected. It kept you safe. It made sense. But you're not in that environment anymore. Your survival genuinely does not depend on keeping everyone comfortable at the cost of your own clarity. Seeing the constant apologizing as an outdated survival mechanism rather than a personality defect changes something, because now there's actually room to do something about it. Not by forcing yourself to stop, because you can't white-knuckle your way out of a nervous system pattern, but by slowly, gradually teaching your nervous system that you're safe, that you can take up space without losing connection, that you can disappoint someone and still be okay. Here's what that actually looks like. Next time you apologize, pause afterward, even if it's 10 seconds later, and get curious about what just happened without trying to change anything yet. What did my nervous system think it detected? Was there actual danger, or just the familiar feeling that danger might be coming? You're not trying to stop yourself mid-word. You're building the awareness that has to come before anything else can shift. The second thing is practicing in small, low-stakes moments. Pick a situation where you'd normally apologize reflexively. Bumping into someone at the grocery store, asking a question you're worried is too much, taking up slightly more than your usual allotted space. And see what happens if you don't apologize this time. Notice what your nervous system does. It'll probably feel uncomfortable. Maybe a little wrong. A flicker of anxiety, maybe guilt. That's the pattern recognizing that you've stepped outside it. And then nothing bad happens, nobody blows up. The relationship doesn't collapse. Your nervous system quietly logs that data point and, over time, starts to revise its threat assessment. You do this in small moments repeatedly, and it begins to rewrite the deeper program. You're teaching your body something it never got to learn, that you can be yourself and still be okay. The other piece of this is learning what an actual healthy apology feels like, because those matter. When you genuinely did something that affected someone, when you made a real mistake, the goal isn't to suppress that apology. It's to offer one that comes from clarity rather than fear. Something grounded. I did this thing, it affected you. I see that and I want to do better. That kind of apology has weight. It means something. It's completely different from the reflexive one, and you'll start to feel the difference as you pay attention. The goal was never to stop apologizing, it's to save your apologies for the moments you actually owe one. And something tends to happen as this shifts gradually in fits and starts. Your relationships get better. Because you're showing up as a real person with real edges rather than as someone whose primary goal is to keep everyone comfortable. The people who genuinely love you, they'll feel the difference. And the people who needed you small and endlessly accommodating, they tend to make themselves obvious pretty quickly. So here you are, someone who says sorry for things that aren't your fault. Now you know why. At some point, your nervous system learned that apologizing kept you safe, kept you loved, kept things from falling apart. That program is still running, but you're not stuck with it. You can update it, slowly in small moments, by letting your nervous system collect new evidence again and again that you're safe enough to be yourself. I'm sorry doesn't have to be the first thing out of your mouth anymore. The real question isn't why you apologize so much. It's what opens up when you don't have to.